The witch raises their hand, magic shimmering at their fingertips as they sprinkle the herbs you helped them gather earlier into the mortar and pestle set before them, chanting under their breath.
Wait, what herbs? What herbs am I using?
Herbs. Why does it matter?
Well, maybe the incantation should be specific to the herbs that I'm using. Don't tell me you don't even know what the incantation is.
It's not important. You don't get to decide that. You're not the one casting the spell. What if it has, like, negative side effects if I do it wrong? Sup peoples, and welcome back to another video. Sometimes a bit of world building can be the difference between a good book and a great book. Little details like the setting or the magic system can make your story pack that extra bit of punch and immerse your readers just that much more. Magic systems are one of my personal favorite ways to do this. They can be so much more than just powers your characters wield. Magic can affect the society of your world, invoke your story's themes, change your characters' lives, and shape the story in a gajillion different ways. So in this video, I'll be asking you 50 different questions to help you better flesh out your magic system, the world it operates in, and your character's relationship to it. This is by no means an exhaustive list of everything you could know about your magic system, but it's definitely a good place to start. And I tried to fit in some fun questions that you might not think of. The video will be broken down into 5 different sections: the world, the abilities, the cost, the story, and the characters. So let's dive right in. First up, we have section 1, the world. I'm starting here because it will most likely be the foundation of quite a lot of the other categories. For example, let's say that in your world, magic comes from nature. It hasn't had much of an impact on society because it's very rare and is often practiced only by reclusive loners deep in the forests and mountains. That will feel very different than if, let's say, anybody can be born with magic, and its use is so commonplace that nobody even thinks about it anymore. There would probably be a whole business built off of it, career paths you could follow, and conveniences that we can't even imagine in the modern world. And if, let's say, your story is set in a world where magic is forbidden and its users are hunted, that will once again completely change the atmosphere and view your readers have on the magic system and characters who wield it. So let's establish how magic fits into your world with our first 10 questions. Where does magic come from in your world? How common is magic in your world? If its use is commonplace, how important is it to your society on a day-to-day basis? Where does it come from? Is magic loved, feared, average? How do people feel about it? What is magic called in your world? And what do people call its wielders? Are there any special schools, agencies, or businesses due to magic's existence? What is the government's viewpoint and relationship to magic and its users? Has the presence of magic in your world affected your society's social and/or power structure at all? How does magic relate to religion in your world, or are they entirely separate? Are there any groups whose view on magic differs from the majority? What is the biggest danger to magic users in your world, and how does this change the way they live their lives? Now that we've established a baseline for your world, let's get more specific about how exactly magic works in your world, which means diving into section 2. The abilities. Because again, nature-based magic that you decide is primarily used by healers living out in the far-off woods will feel entirely different from forbidden power capable of leveling cities. So let's establish what abilities your characters have to play with the next 10 questions. Is magic learned or innate in your world? Even if it is innate, are characters born with magic, or do they have to unlock it somehow? Is there more than one form of magic in your world? If so, do they have different rarities? If there are multiple kinds of magic in your world, what makes them all stand apart from one another? Is there a theme to all the different kinds of magic in your world, like the elements, for example? Are there different levels of magical power, or is everyone at a relatively equal level? Is all magic allowed, or are there certain types that are forbidden in your world? Can characters use a limited amount of magic, or is it an endless resource? What are the limits of magical ability? And are there certain things that are simply out of reach for even the most powerful of wielders? Are there objects or rituals that can boost people's magical powers? Now, the other side of this coin is cost. Not all magic systems need to have this, so if yours doesn't, feel free to skip this section. But personally, it's my favorite. Not only can it help up the stakes, it also offers a lot of really fun opportunities to be creative and really mean to your create an interesting story. Something in my throat there. If you're giving your characters all these wonderful abilities, then what's to stop them using them all the time? Giving magic a cost doesn't just make your magic system and story more interesting, it also complicates your character's relationship with their magic, and can be an effective way to temper any abilities you give them, helping to make sure they're not overpowered. So let's establish what magic takes with another 10 questions. I just realized I've been holding up 5 fingers. 10 questions. This entire video, I've been holding up 5. I know how to count, right? Okay, so let's establish what magic takes with another 10 questions. What is the price of your character's power? How severe is the cost of magic? Is it enough to make characters try and avoid using their abilities entirely, or something smaller? Does the cost of magic hit you all at once, or does it accumulate slowly over time? Does the cost of magic differ for different people, or is it the same for everyone? Is the cost more mental or physical? Is the cost visible in any way? If so, is there something people can do to hide it? Are there any things that be done to slow the progression of the side effects of magic, or are people helpless to stop it? Can the side effects of using magic be beneficial in any way, or are they purely negative? If you have different types of magic in your world, is the cost the same for all of them, or does it differ? Does the price of using magic get higher the more you do it, or does it remain the same? Are there any organizations or businesses that cater to the cost of magic in some way? Now that we understand where your character's abilities will be used and what they can do with them, it's time to ask why. What makes magic important for your story? A lot of my favorite stories take the why into account. For example, in The Dragon Prince, we are regularly told that dark magic is bad, evil even. But even our heroes have fallen back on it when they need it. While it can hurt, it can also heal, and it's saved lives more than once. And that creates a sort of interesting moral quandary. Far cooler, if you ask me, than if dark magic was reserved for just the bad guys. So let's establish why magic is important for your story. What greater meanings can it have for the characters and plot? And we're going to find that out with another 10 questions. Why did you want to include a magic system in your world in the first place? What makes the magic in your world different from magic in other stories? What sets it apart and makes it stand out? What emotion do you want to invoke with the magic in your world? Awe, fear, beauty, disgust? How would you describe magic in your world aesthetically? What are the visuals? If both your antagonist and protagonist have magic, what makes their use of it feel different? Or are they intentionally similar? Is there something that makes magic wielders easy to spot in your world? How many of your characters have magic, and does that match its commonality in your world? If not, how do you explain it? Are there certain moments in your character's backstory that define their relationship with magic at the start of the story? How does your character's relationship with magic change over the course of the story, and what moments cause this change? Does and can magic relate in any way to your story's theme? Alright, now we know where and what and even why. So why don't we ask ourselves, who? Who is using these powers, and how have they shaped them? A character shunned because of their magic will have a very different relationship to it than one who was prized for it. In much the same way that someone who had to learn magic will have a different relationship to it than someone who was born with it. So let's establish what magic means to your characters, and how it's shaped their lives. What does this power mean to them? With our final 10 questions. How long has your character known they have or do not have powers, and what was their reaction to finding out? What is one thing that your character loves about their magic, or if they don't have magic, one thing they imagine would be better about their life if they did have it? What is one thing that your character hates about their magic, or if they don't have magic, one reason they are happy about not having it? How has having or not having magic affected your character's life so far? If your character does have magic and there is a cost for it, does your character feel the price is worth it? If your world has multiple types of magic, what kind of magic does your character wish they had? And if they already have magic, are they happy with the one they got? How does magic play into your character's evolution and character arc? If you decided to give your character magic, why? And if you decide not to, why not? What is one thing your character wishes their magic could do, but it cannot? Alternatively, if your character doesn't have magic, what is one thing magic could fix in their life? What is a horrible memory your character has associated with magic, and what is a wonderful one? The witch raises their hand, magic shimmering at their fingertips as they sprinkle the herbs you'd helped them gather earlier into the mortar and pestle set before them. And just a pinch of chamomile.
Sickened lungs and twisted heart, nature's warmth I call to thwart. Leaves and flowers hear my plea, that you may heal me.
Now that
is a spell. Here you go. Now, you don't have to donate anything, but I'll link my Ko-fi in the description in case you're willing to offer up a little something for that spell. I'm currently trying to get a comic I wrote illustrated, and since I'm self-funding, it's a little bit of a struggle. Any help is super appreciated, but of course, not mandatory.
Thank you so much for your help. If I can't support your Ko-fi, is there anything else I can do?
Well, subscribing here on YouTube is a huge help. Every single subscriber helps me get a little bit closer to monetization and turning this into my real job.
Great. If this spell works, I'll definitely be subscribing.
Congratulations! You've made it to the end of the video. I hope the cost of gaining all this power wasn't too high. And I hope that answering these 50 questions helped you better understand your magic system. Let me know in the comments another topic you'd like me to do 50 questions on, and I'll be more than happy to oblige. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next page. Till then.